Hi folks, here's your tutorial on making a exploded view using a presentation file for the Arbor Press. Most videos you might find are going to be a little bit older and use the different user interface or an older user interface. So here we go. I have the basic assembly open, it's finished, it's ready to go. So I'm going to go up to the new button, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the drop down here and I'm going to select a new presentation file. So this little box will come up if you click that. We're going to go down here to standard.ipn. It says presentation. It says create an exploded projection of your assembly. So I'm going to select create. When this happens, it's going to be a blank screen and an insert file will come up. And you'll be able to navigate to your Google Drive where you have everything saved. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to find my assembly and I'm going to select open. So now this comes up, we have snapshot views on the right, we have a timeline at the bottom. We're not going to get too crazy into this, we're just going to do a basic exploded and go from there. So first, I'm going to look at my home view, I'm just going to kind of look around, make sure everything looks good, that I didn't load in the wrong assembly, everything does look good. I'm going to put it in this orientation first, so I kind of want to see the right hand side. And I'm going to start exploding a few pieces out. So to do that, I'm going to select Tweak Components. And when I do this, I'm going to select a component. And when I select a component, I'm going to have three little arrows that come up. Now, if yours looks a little different, over here on the right-hand side where all these little options are, you might be looking at, say, like a world perspective. We can be on a local perspective. That's local to the part itself. And then I'm also going to explode kind of similar pieces at the same time. So I'm going to select these two as well. And to do that, I held Control on the keyboard and I selected those two. Now that I've selected all three of these holes, all I need to do is grab which arrow that I think makes sense for it to come out. It's going to come out of the hole and it's going to go to the back side of the part, or it's going to move on the Z. So I'm going to select Z and I'm just going to actually drag it out a bit. Now, how far you drag it out? Well, we might edit these later. The idea is just start the explosion. So kind of get out the part, away from it, and I'm just going to go ahead and click the check mark, and I've exploded these three screws out. Cool. Next thing is I will tweak this. Shortcut for tweak is T. So you can use the keyboard T to kind of explode a little bit quicker. I'm going to drag these out, and here's my goal. When I drag out my parts, I don't want any parts to be overlapping. So right now this gear plate is not overlapping any of my parts here, and it's not also overlapping any of these screws. That's going to be my goal. Now, once everything's exploded, I might come back and shorten it up so when I put this on a drawing sheet, it's not like incredibly large. Next thing, I can probably bring the gear out of this area. So again, T for tweak. I'm going to select the gear, grab the Z arrow again, bring this out. And again, depending on the orientation, how you put it together, it might not be the Z. Use some common sense. Know which way you could possibly extract this piece. So I bring that out, check mark. Okay, three parts there. I think I'm going to leave the column actually as kind of like the one piece that doesn't move. You could do the base, but I think I'll use the column here. So now, though, if I wanted to take the base and bring that out to the front or down, I would need to remove the screw on the back side. So I'm going to think here. I might do that in a little bit. I might just focus on maybe some of the more bolts. So I got 4 bolts here in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and select these 4. Again, I'm holding Control, and I'll bring these out to the front. Check mark. Tweak again. This plate. Grab this arrow, bring this out. Make sure I'm not overlapping any parts. That looks good. Let's see here. Let's go to this back side and let's pull out the screws here for the rotary. Tweak. Not that. Let's make sure we grab this screw and that screw. Pull that out. And I'm going to go back to that other side, because just because it doesn't overlap on one side doesn't mean it's not going to overlap on the other side. So that actually looks pretty good. That's what I want. I'm going to go ahead, check mark. Rotary actuator next. So rotary actuator, I will bring that out. Let's double check. It doesn't overlap. Spindle. And also, I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab the key as well. Grab this arrow. I'm going to explode that. Hit OK. Then I'm actually going to tweak the key itself, and I'll pull that right out of the spindle. So the spindle comes with the key, then the key comes out on its own. I think that's fine right there. What's next? To get these screws out, I would have to remove this. This can probably come out to the front, but I do have this, and I don't want to pull this out without pulling this out. So, tweak component. I'm going to grab both the rack pad and the rack itself. I'll pull that out. That can come straight out that way. Check mark. Tweak again. Select the rack pad, and I'll pull that down a bit. I think that makes sense. And the reason I did both of those at the same time is if I took that rack pad and I pulled that straight out, it'd leave that in place. And this part would actually clip through this part. And we kind of want to think like, how could we disassemble this in a correct order? Okay, let's go ahead and what are we going to take out now? Let's take out the table, and let's bring the table up. And then that's good. And then let's go ahead and tweak this table, and I might change this to world so I can kind of pull this out to the front. Now I do have some issue where I'm overlapping a bit and I'm actually hitting the rack pad, so I might have to edit some of these later on. So I'll select OK to that. Let's go ahead and tweak out this bolt. Pull this out the back a bit. Good. Tweak this piece. Bring that out of the hole, and then I'll tweak the base to come down just a bit. We got a few screws. So this one and this one, select both of those. They can come out this way. I want to make sure I'm not hitting that spindle. And then let's tweak these screws again to maybe come out to the side a little bit. Maybe somewhere out here. And again, it's just kind of the idea of getting some of these parts away from each other so they're easy to see. We can see all the parts away from each other. So I will go ahead and now tweak the punch holder, and I'll bring that out a bit. So let's see here. Did I miss any major parts? I think for the most part, it doesn't look too bad, at least initially. So now, if I look at this whole area actually looks pretty good. There's nothing really intersecting each other. I feel pretty confident with this. I just have these parts over here that are a bit far away. So on the left-hand side, and you might do this with other parts, but for me, I'm going to go to Scene, I'm going to go to Tweak, and I'm going to find this tweak, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to pull this a bit closer. I can get that a bit closer right there. That's good. Then I will find the tweak for the rotary actuator right here. This one. And I can grab that green dot and bring that a little bit closer. And then I'll find the tweak 6 for me for the screws, and I'll bring that a bit closer. Now I'll kind of take a look at that and see how that is. Not too bad. I think that looks pretty good. Doesn't look bad. I like it. So next thing I'm going to do is after I've done all of this, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to select New Snapshot View. What that will do is it will save this view over here in View 1. Even if I zoom in a little bit or I try to zoom extents, fill up the whole page, the snapshot view will also change a little bit, but that view is good. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save this to that ArborPress folder that I had, and you can actually say you can keep it ArborPress, or because the file extension is the same, or you can say this is the ArborPress presentation, so it kind of stands out a bit to you, and you can go ahead and hit save. Now you have this part done. You have the other video that you can watch for bringing this into your working drawings, your set of working drawings, and you're ready to go.